question would be is, at what level do you feel as maybe the pastor and leader of your church and other pastors, where do you see where you can be, you as the pastor are the most equipped to serve, and what would you require or request of your congregations to be in the community and serving, and then how can LoveINC help you match that up?
Well, my fellow pastor, Jerry Wegner, and I were just talking about this at lunch today, because I was like, hey, he knew I was coming to sit down and talk with you. And we realized that our liaison, I was like, hey, who was because through this merger, I was like, who was the liaison? He's like, actually, she just stepped down a few months ago. And he's like, we need to start that back up. And so I think it's partly holding our hands to help us not just like fill out the survey. Hey, what abilities does your church have? Right? Like all of them. What do you mean? Like, we didn't even talk about it. We just do them. I don't mean officially like from the front. I'm just like, if you ask me like, I need this, well, here's the person you go talk to, because I know that they could do that. And so it's almost like workshopping it, not just from the high level, but down to the basics, like walking through it with someone who's more maybe in like a deacon role to help them envision like, you are not just mobilizing people to serve in all the ministries in the church, right? Children's, hospitality, community, care of different generations, all of these things, but rather in with a more benevolent heart to go, how can we mobilize people, and obviously resources? Sometimes you just have to be like, hey, we'll pay for that. We'll do it. To like know what people can do, even in the different seasons of life, and then enter into that, right? Making up regular rhythms, of it. And so my question for you is, how do we do that? How have you seen that from afar and up close in the model of LoveINC of mobilizing a church? Like, imagine no one has watched any one of these before. They've all liked and subscribed and watched them, right? But like, imagine like we're all new to this. How could someone at the very start get involved in LoveINC, not just like volunteer, but like on a congregational level? How do we do that?
One of the big points for us is to know what your church has available and how you guys are like set up and equipped to help, but also just know like your willingness, your readiness in that too is a huge part for us to when somebody calls and, hey, I need help I'm moving, in a week, we know, oh, this church down the street, they're on fire, they're ready, they're looking for something, they're hungry for that.
Yeah.
We can turn right to them and make those connections. And I think a part of it too is like, how is your church also trying to like help connect with the community? Are you and your church going out and connecting with your neighbors? And are you guys referring, when people come asking for help, referring them to LoveINC, because they might come to your church and, hey, I need a gas card. Hey, I need help with groceries. And you can help them with that in the moment. But you making that referral to us means they're now connected to all the churches that we're partnered with in Clackamas County, right? And now they have all the support and resources of those churches here to support them as well. And so knowing seeing you guys as a partner with LoveINC, as a piece of the puzzle of what LoveINC is, can also help that connectivity of you guys are also making those connections to people in the community, to the broader church network that LoveINC represents.
You had a sticker that you gave to us when we visited you, who's before do's. And I think that the reality is that knowing your church's DNA, knowing the pastor, knowing what their heart bleeds for specifically for community members, and of which, of course, the church congregation is community members, and what is so it goes beyond just what the skill set is within the congregation, because like you said, one person can do maybe 10 different things. So it doesn't matter the what, but who is in your congregation, because as we mentioned a moment ago, it's about relationships. So it doesn't matter that I can change your oil, but can we have a transmission of relationship between one another? And I think in that space that a church coming on as a new partner, we really are looking, okay, not just what can you do, because we're not a transaction ministry, we're a relationship and transformational ministry, and that's part of the mobilization. And so if the congregation believes that we need to do a collection of items so that we can disperse out to those poor people, that would be a challenge church for us, to be honest. But we want the who's within the congregation to meet the needs of other who's in the community. And so I think that a successful onboarding of a new church partner or new church congregation is that in the fabric of the DNA of the church, i.e. the pastor, the pastoral team, understands that my heart is to care very, very well for the people who are assembling on Sundays. And part of that care is not just to give information from a book, our Bible, and hope that sticks so that, I've done my job, but really how can I shepherd these individuals to love other broken sheep that are in the community? And so a lot of the things that I would say would challenge us is that, especially in our history and even currently, there's a lot of things that we do. Material items, or furniture warehouse or firewood, and people think that that's going to fix things. And it's helpful, but like you mentioned a moment ago, it's the doorway into their lives. And so what we need to go into through that doorway is not material items. Those are helpful and those begin, but it really is the congregational individuals who know and love Jesus very well to insert themselves into that person's life. Like we mentioned a moment ago, like this person who's got, I think she had maybe 6 or 7 different items around her house that need addressing. But really what she needed was someone to say, I know your name. And that she can count on, and that actually sincerely cares for her.
Now there's a new person that cares for another person, and they haven't let her down.
Well, and the fun part, if I might, the fun part is not just that one church is doing that for this particular, but she is singing. She's probably singing, but she's seeing multiple congregations. So she's seeing probably maybe up to 5, maybe 6 different congregations with different denominational backgrounds, different maybe some of their theologies, some of their philosophies on how they do church. But she's seeing a beautiful perspective of Jesus shining on her. So her life is changing dramatically, not just because she's being resourced with things and repairs, but she's seeing people from multiple congregations. She's seeing the body of Christ. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. She's seeing the body of Christ, and she's seeing that it's good. So that's how it answers.
Which oftentimes is surprising to people. They'll say like, I can't believe, like, I always thought, and it's like, what kind of experiences do you have? Like,
well, and I think we do get that a lot downstairs when we tell people that we are going to serve them, we're going to help them through a congregation. We actually had one person who goes, that's so unprofessional. Why would you do that? But when she felt and saw the love and the care for her, probably for the first time, she allowed one of our volunteers to give her a hug for the first time, and to pray for her. And she goes, and the previous conversation said, I will never let anybody pray for me. Yeah. The church hurt her in sincerity. I mean, the church was hurting her. So this is the first time she saw the church not just as useful, but as caring and compassionate.
Yeah. And I think a huge way that we find those strong connections with the church so that we can make those references, we can make those connections of church, here's this person, here's this neighbor you can help, comes often through the really strong connections we have with our, like you mentioned earlier, liaisons, or what we might call a LoveINC ministry coordinator. When we have the churches that have those really strong coordinators that we can connect with, that they help us really understand, like, who is this group of people that gather under this name, under this roof, and what is their heart for their neighborhood, and how can we find those neighbors that they don't yet know and make those connections. And so I think that's been, in most of the instances where we've had these really excellent stories, it's because we had those great people who were kind of leading the point of connecting their church to the community through this LoveINC model.
Love it. This has been so helpful for me just to talk with both of you, because it is filling in the gap so much. Yeah.
So I guess to wrap up our discussion here, how has your heart as a pastor, right? Your heart for your church, your people, how has your heart been supported by LoveINC and by this ministry?
Well, I've appreciated. So in COVID times, we had a few of these monthly meetings that were digital, and I remember being at one. And it was like hybrid. We were at one place, and then it was some people were digital. I remember a different ministry came on, and they said, "I'm so excited to be on with you. I love churches because churches have people and volunteers, and we need volunteers." And they just launched in, and I was like, she said it out loud. Like, you just want our people. Like, she didn't know our names or whatever. And it was so funny. That's not what you all are about. So you mentioned the who's before do's. So might be helpful to say that. But so that's my philosophy of ministry is actually the indicatives lead to the imperatives. It's how you read the Bible, right? Who God is, who God is and what he has done is the whole basis of not only human history, the scripture, but of our lives. It's how the gospel is now ours. Jesus is God, and he has come into our lives to save us. And now, who are we as made by God in his image? And now, how are we to live, right? So that's the imperative. So the gospel indicatives lead to the moral imperatives. What I've seen in this ministry is that you believe that. Right, you may say it in a different way, right? But like the dignity, even of calling someone the ministry, right? What is it? They're not the liaison. I know what it is now, but what is it called? They're the coordinator. They're the one connecting the needs, but as a whole person, right? So what we need, right, is more ministries that treat people as whole people. Like, you're really valuable. Who are you as a congregation? What is your fabric of how you guys operate? What are you most desiring to participate in, right? How ready are you? How willing are you, able to mobilize? That's partly what we need. But I think what we need to do is to understand basically how we fit in the county. So if there was a way for us to know, like, this is kind of our niche within the county, and so that, like, hey, and if you run up against, and it takes time to learn this, if you run up against these kinds of needs or these kinds of opportunities, connect with this person, right? And so it's those ministry coordinators even getting to know each other. I'm excited for us to not only delegate the authority to a new ministry coordinator in 2026, but maybe that person to get to know other leaders from other churches, so that ministry is like multiplied rather than just added. Yeah.
That's one thing that even Robin, our community engagement coordinator, she's been sharing as she kind of works directly with those coordinators, that they really enjoy those times where they can all come together for like this quarterly meeting and just see face to face. Oh, you're from that church. Oh, you're from this part of the county. Especially Clackamas County is huge, right? So we've got people from Wilsonville and Canby and way up in Happy Valley and here in Oregon City and Malala. So it's like they're getting to see these people from these other churches, and they're getting to hear how these other churches function and how these other churches work with the community, and they like love that. They just enjoy that time that they can get to know who are all these other churches that have this same heart for the community. Yeah, well, any closing remarks, Jeff, Stuart? Anything you guys want to share to wrap up?
You've got a great team. So I won't mention everyone because I'll miss them. But it's fun to see Robin come into her ministry and to do that. And do you think there's? I keep asking questions. Is there a gap? Is there a gap that if people knew about it? I don't mean a need, but a people need, not just a physical need, a people need. That if, like, as you pray into 2026, you go, hey, here's actually a gap that we have, relationally, ministry wise, that we could know about.
I think that what I'm finding, even though our LoveINC affiliate has been here for 20 years, is still a really well kept secret. Yeah. And I'm both excited by that, and I'm also challenged by that. We had one of our more recent churches partner with us earlier this spring, and one of the pastors on staff. He goes, "I've been in ministry for over 30 years. I've never heard of this." And I was both like appalled by it in some ways, but also really excited that that the freshness and the excitement was in his eyes as well. In that way, I really would like to see Love Inc. kind of break out and be more, in a sense, publicized in some ways, not necessarily just to the public, but my heart really is that if Love Inc. can be successful, that means the churches are getting glorified. And that's what it comes down to. So if I can promote Love Inc. and if I can get Love Inc. throughout all of Clackamas County, then I know, and we have become very successful at however we want to define that term. I know that the churches will be absolutely glorified. That's the goal. So I guess in a very practical sense, maybe there's someone that does well at communications, maybe someone who's like excellent at, Travis is doing our newsletters. I attempt to do some social media stuff from time to time, but just somebody who understands how to communicate more very effectively, that drives a deeper impact. But it could also just be, relationships like we have right now, that we have just getting deeper into the Clackamas, churches. We have, and then from there, broadcasting maybe literature to the community that is in need, so that we can continue the cycle of building up the whole community.
It's amazing how disconnected people are in our county. I mean, I love our county, but that's like the pioneer spirit is like, why do I need to tell people what's going on with me? Like, I'm doing my own thing. It's like, what? Like, let's be relational here. So I love that you see that, and it's an opportunity. It's a challenge, but it's definitely an opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too of just the ministry that's happening on Thursday nights now with what we're calling healthy habits, right? These classes we're providing that really is the space for our neighbors to come into proximity with the church in a way that's meant to be very just open and inviting, and not like come to a church service. It's like just come to our classes. We got meal, we got childcare, get some food, take some leftovers home. Like those spaces that, as we've seen it now, it's been running for well over a year now, that it's been so cool to see all these different people from all these churches coming in and now getting to meet these neighbors too. But I think just seeing that grow better, I think that's going to be the place where those relationships are really going to thrive. We're so excited about this program because in all the other ministry stuff that we do through the churches, right? It's meeting those needs and connecting these people. This is that environment where those people can come and we can actually see the long term. How are they being affected by this? Not, okay, they can get through the month, which is great. We love that. But how are they a year from now, after we've gotten to see them through all the ups and downs and get to know them and see how their life has changed by being in proximity to the church and God's people. So yeah, I think that's something we're excited for. It's something that's been really cool to see over the last year or so.
And the fun part, so we just had our last Thursday night. I won't mention the date, I guess, but we run them 12-week segments. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so December 4, 2025 was our last evening for this segment, and we provide dinners for each one of the meals for each one of the evenings, and we have one church provide. Almost all of their small groups went through and did one of these dinners. The last one, the pastors of that church, his small group did the meal for that night, and this is of course talking about Taylor Reevely here, and I just had a chance during the end of the night. He just goes, "This is incredible," and he goes, "I love what Love Inc. is doing here." I go, "No, Taylor, this is you. This is New Life OC doing this. This is not a Love Inc. thing. They own this. They direct it. They decide which to go left or right. We just provide the parameters to make sure that it's healthy, that it's moving forward. We have our redemptive compassion model and we have our Love Inc. model, but it's the people that are running this. They are making the decisions. And it's beautiful. It's a lot of fun. So that's our hope. Yeah. Somehow this turned into an interview on us, then you know.
Yeah, anytime with me, that's how I roll. Like, you come into my home, we do something together, I'm going to ask you the questions. That's how we do it. Yeah.
Well, thanks for this, Jeff. We really appreciate it. Really enjoyed the conversation and just the insight you provide into who this Love Inc. has been. I mean, Stuart and I, he's been around 4 years. I've been a little less than that, but just learning more about the history of this place in the county, that it's served in Clackamas County, and the churches too, and just how things have changed over the years. It gives us a better idea of where we're going to, and how we can continue to see the church mobilized, see the church going out and loving their neighbors well. So yeah, we appreciate that.
Thank you everyone for watching. This is the only time they let me look at the camera. Like, subscribe, please join the ministry of Love Inc.